All right. What's up, ladies and gents? How we doing today? Welcome back to another live stream. I know you can't see me yet. Bear with. We'll take care of that in a second. Just making sure we're all prepped for the live stream here. All right. What's up? We be making them gains, bro. You got it, bro. You got it. What's up, Alec? What's up? Caught you live. What's going on? Welcome to the live stream, ladies and gents. Smash them up as you're entering in. As usual, I want to know two things. Number one, where are you watching from today? We are streaming at a very unusual time. And number two, how you feeling about the market, boys? How are we feeling about the market today? We optimistic? We scared? Are we pissed off? Did we miss the rally? We're at 121k, legends. Let's go. 121. Two things I want to know as you're coming into this live stream today, ladies and gents. Number one, where you watching from? Number two, how you feeling about this market? Bullish, bearish, proud, pissed off? Welcome, welcome everybody. Welcome Kayla, Anonymous, Symbol, Leo Swipes, Moon. Hello from Alberta, Canada. What's up, Alberta? I need to study Canada a little bit more. Thought is saying pump it, pump it. What are we at on the let's take a look at this on a 5-minute right here. We have just broken out above 119k. We're up 1.5% in 1 hour, which is good. That's really, really good. Yo, we got Australia today. Okay. Yeah. Nice one. Nice one. We got a couple of requests for coins. We'll go through requests for coins in a second. Ladies and gents, as you are joining the live stream, do me a favor and smash up those likes. Smash them up. Bitcoin might set a brand new all-time high today. That is sick. That is really, really good news. Do we have connection issues, guys? Do we have connection issues right now? Of course, it'll be the first time we have connection issues when Bitcoin's setting an all-time high, right? Well, we don't know if that's happening, but... Can you guys let me know if you can see me okay and hear me okay? Alright. All good. Audio okay, video okay, perfect, perfect. Alright, I don't know. YouTube was telling me that something was going wrong. Leo Swipes, dude, I'm ready for alt to go banana already. We Puerto Rico. Bro's already going to the tax haven. My man's preparing. Oh, bro, how does that work? If you go like halfway through the year, do you get to skip out in 2025? Yeah, what a wick, right? I mean, it's a wick. It's a wick. It's a $500 wick. Let's put it in perspective. $500 at this stage for Bitcoin equals 0.4%. So, it's a wick, but it's not really anything compared to what we've just seen. And to be honest, this last little, like, this weekend has been pretty sick, you know? I mean, let's draw a vertical line where the weekend started. I guess we could do it at midnight on Saturday, but I wanted to do it on S&P close, but I don't know what time that is in UTC. So that's when the weekend started, ladies and gents. Definitely quite a week. We don't get weekends like this often. Let me, I mean, this is going to take some time if I try and do this for all of them, but, just to, like, show you, like, it's not normal that we have, like, amazing weekends, is it? Like, this one was kind of lackluster. This one, just continued a dump that already started during the weekdays. You can go back and you can look at this. There's a lot of data on this. It's just not it, bro. It's not it. So, right now we're doing really, really well. 121,400. We're going to be breaking down what all of this means throughout this live stream. Super exciting one. Smash up the likes as you are tuning in, ladies and gents. I want to see them pumping above 100 likes right here. I know we can do that. That's easy. And let me know where you're watching from, how you're feeling about these markets. Let's see who we got today. We got Toronto, land of the free. Land of the free, Toronto. Okay. I'm sure you've got good reasons for that. We've got Brazil. What's going on, Brazil? Fort Stewart, Georgia. Is that where the shooting happened? I don't know. Maybe not. Montreal, Canada. Nice one. Nice one. How's it feel being in Montreal? We got LA. What's going on, LA? Northwest USA. Where's that? Northwest sounds like Pacific Northwest, right? Excited about Ocean Token. Okay, we can't be shilling tokens real quick, you know, like this quick into the live stream. I gotta learn how to trade. Do you teach? So we've got a really quite incredible one-to-one program, which is essentially like coaching. Incredible results. You can reach out with this link in the description below. A member of the team will get back to you. Probably not at these hours, but soon. And incredible results. Everybody that's ever joined has paid off their fee pretty quickly after joining. It's a 12-week program. It's serious. It's expensive, but that's kind of what I do. But there's a ton of free stuff as well. Like if you're just curious about what your options are, you can also reach out, and we've got a ton of free resources, you know, that we can send your way, and that'll be good. So there's that. There's obviously the Telegram channel, and then in Levex, there are exclusive chart updates posted there, like today, yesterday, pretty much every day. What's happening with BitE? Yeah, let's take a look at Bitcoin. So 121,600. I think what we'll do is we'll have that. We need to find out, like, what is the name for this feed on the right? I want some suggestions in the comments. Like, the name that just came to mind is Wrecked, like the Wrecked camera or the Wrecked cam. You know what I mean? Like, because it's fun watching yourself make or lose money. Just tucked away on the side, right? I'm not trying to say, like, we're going to be degenerates about it and, you know, like, wake up in the middle of the night. Please don't do that. To check your portfolio, if you need to do that, you need to rebalance yourself. Maybe your life, but definitely your portfolio. We don't want to get carried away. But, yeah, I think the Wrecked feed right here is probably the one. The Wrecked cam. Let me know what you guys are thinking. I need this. Feel like I need to make up lost ground. Tired of being poor. I get it, bro. I get it. That's so real, bro. Love the pip window. Degen cam. Yeah, you got some good ideas there, bro. Yeah. I read something about Fed announcing 3 rate cuts recently. Well, isn't that meant to happen next month? I guess we could go ahead and pull up SPX after hours. Bear with me. Please enjoy my affectionately written disclaimer. And let's see what the after hours quotes are looking like. I don't know if this is going to be important, but let's take a look. So, where are we? S&P 500 futures. Let me just check if this is the live. I mean, the closing or not. So, 63.89. So, it's up on the after hours over here. Not by much. Not by a lot, but it's up. To be fair, that's actually quite significant. Let's paint that on the chart. That was 64.28, right? So 64.28 is right here. Okay, so it's at the all-time high. Okay, well that's really good, because that means that this retracement is probably finished. After hour quotes are really unreliable, and they've been unreliable recently. So, you know, take this with a pinch of salt, but definitely promising. Definitely, I mean, you know, like, it would be less promising if it was the other way around, so we can put it that way. But yeah, that's cool. Bitcoin though, I'll pull it up on this chart right here. Bitcoin though, for where it's at, I mean, you know, pretty much brushing up with its all-time high as well, getting very, very close. We got to smash some likes up, ladies and gents. We got beautiful price action. I need to see you guys smashing that up. You got Toronto, Mexico, Texas, beautiful, London, Ontario. I hate when I put London, well, I hated when I used to live in London, as my country, and it would auto-select Canada. It doesn't happen often, maybe like 3 times in my life, but that was enough to be very upsetting. Just smash the likes from Canada. What's up, Canada? Thanks for that, bro. Appreciate that. What's going on, Optimus Prime? Yeah, we're nearing you know, that all-time high right there. We're really closing in on this level. It's 1.3% away. That's $1,500. It's literally like spitting distance for Bitcoin at this stage. We've got the 𝗙𝗓𝗟𝗓 on the right, giving us a pretty nice set of you know, candles here on the 15-minute. So we'll be watching that. We'll zoom in onto the 1 minute because really it's more fun. Oh, it's already on the 1 minute. My bad. I thought it was on the 5. I'm going to trade it back in the flux. Don't really know what you're talking about. Weekend CME at 116.8. Just something to be aware of. Yeah. There's definitely that. And that definitely has bearings on the market sometimes. Many of the times even sometimes. But, what's up, Georgia? What's up, Atlanta? We think this jump will increase dominance and prolong the bull run a little bit longer. Good question. Good question. Let's start with the CME thing, though. So, yes, you know, we are gonna... I'm your favorite XRP moon boy. Okay, yeah. Yeah, and I also drive a BMW. Yes, I also drive a BMW. I ride a bicycle. In this universe. Yeah, no, so... CME gap, I don't think that's going to be, you know, much of an issue. I don't actually like care about the CME gaps that much. I'll just kind of put it there. But yeah, I mean, it's something to be aware of. At this stage, if Bitcoin does fall back down to fill that gap over here, that would be really bad. Like that would be a really bad sign. That would be a sign that, you know, first of all, we would have to lose this support level, which would be really bad because ideally you want to bounce off this level. Ideally, this is the best long position, right? A lot of long traders are going to be looking for, you know, a setup around here or maybe comparative places on other coins. And we will definitely, you know, get into what some interesting kind of plays that different traders would be looking at right now. Obviously, you guys already know Levex is going to be one of the best exchanges in the game for this. You know, they've got, first of all, incredible bonuses. You get free cash to trade with, which is really cool. You can, you know, get that bonus and then stop using the exchange. Not your problem. Thank you very much. Thank you. And more importantly, one-to-one liquidity. I'm sorry, one-to-one proof of reserves and great liquidity. I keep getting them mixed up. So check them out. Really, really cool. You will get your bonuses after you start trading. And... also really cool like social media feature for us to kind of give you some posts there. So check that stuff out. Of course, you got to check your local laws and regulations too. Let's see what we got in the comments here. That full moon is... the full moon is this weekend apparently. Okay, nice one. The bull run is just getting started. It looks like it, and I believe so. Yeah. Hammond says, please do more analysis on the S&P 500 and other financial markets and what the correlation they have with the M2 monetary supply. Please, I would love to know your opinion on this. I'm going to do that a little bit later on in this live stream. If I forget, please remind me. Clarity Act begins the true bull run. Someone tell me about the Clarity Act. I've heard of it, I think. I don't know. So, if we do fall below this level here, that would be pretty bad, right? That would be a significant sign that things are going bad for the market. And that, more importantly, we're losing important support levels. We really don't want to see that happening. Smash up the likes as you're coming in, ladies and gents. Let's get this thing above 100 to kick this stream off properly. Yeah, you want to see that bounce. If you don't get it, you're coming back in this range, and that's going to, you know, really strongly suggest that you're going to revisit the lows of the range as well. Revisiting the lows isn't such a bad thing. Ultimately, you know, if we do something like that, you know, it could recover from there, and, you know, then we just kind of end up forming a different parallel channel. Let me draw this a little bit more clearly for you, because this is kind of important. Let's just say, for argument's sake, we top out over here. You know, we can start drawing, you know, channels like this. Maybe we get a bounce off the midpoint, you know what I mean? Something a little bit, you know, like that. Also entirely possible. Yeah, I'm just showing you how that would look. You know, I don't necessarily think it's going to happen. I think this is a really good sign. And actually, I was discussing this with a couple of people that I discuss markets with. I don't do it often, and I don't do it with very many people. But when I do, it's pretty good. And, you know, what we were talking about just yesterday, actually, was this Trump-Putin meeting. It's happening in Alaska. And, you know, that's a big deal to me. I don't know about how you guys feel about that. But, you know, like, if Trump is going to meet Putin on U.S. soil, that's got to be a big deal. That's got to be, you know, quite an incredible thing. So I really think that's going to be the narrative of the next weekdays leading up, basically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because Friday is the meeting. I really think that's going to be, you know, quite a thing that generates hype. Just because it's amazing, right? It's really, really good. It means, yeah, exactly, huge deal. It means that, you know, I don't know, trade or whatever, right? Like, good stuff could happen. So, really, very, very important. We've got the Twitter feed up over here. I don't know how much, you know, time we want to spend on this, but looks like there's not too much talk of the markets right now. Bitcoin has re-entered the crypto party. Brilliant. Yeah, and by the way, we had a question about dominance, and dominance hasn't really moved that much yet. Here's Bitcoin on the right. Take a look at that. If it sweeps that high, we're flying again, ladies and gents. We could close in on the all-time high really quick. Yeah, so we're understandably seeing a pretty nice recovery here for Bitcoin dominance. Where's Ethereum at? Ethereum BTC. Yeah, a little pullback here, probably leading a lot of those losses. A lot of those gains for Bitcoin dominance. And you know, but I mean, I don't like doing too much analysis on this chart because you really can't. But there is something here, you know, like this could be a bit of a resistance level for Bitcoin dominance. I'm sure we can kind of find, you know, resistance a little bit higher up as well. You know, something a little bit like this also makes sense. Maybe we see Bitcoin dominant. I don't know. You know, it depends how high this thing goes. But considering it's already, you know, gained, what is this, like an entire percentage point? No, not at all. One sec. Let me calculate this properly. No, 0.8. We've recovered 0.8% on Bitcoin dominance. And Bitcoin, you know, has kind of pumped halfway to its all-time high. You know what I mean? So if it pumps another half, you know, that could be another 0.85. That actually puts us right at, you know, that line I drew for you guys. So, you know, that's going to be really interesting to kind of watch and see how that plays out. We're going to keep an eye on that. We'll probably keep doing that throughout this live stream as well. Smash up those likes, ladies and gents, as you enter the live stream. Thank you so much for those of you that already have. Thank you to those of you that haven't. That's totally cool as well, of course. It's all going off right now. Like I said, streaming at a very unusual time. It is, yeah, 2:30 UTC. So obviously, you know, different parts of the world kind of move the markets at different times. You know, sometimes it's the Asia narrative. Lately, it's been America. It's been America for like the last year, consistently. So, you know, that's nice. It used to be like that a little bit more. It used to be a little bit more balanced. But it's nice to see America kind of reclaiming its place on the global stage, at least, you know, a little bit. You know, so far, off to an incredible start, really. But yeah, we've got a little bit of a continuation up here, slightly popped above that all-time high, pulling back a tiny bit now. It looks like Bitcoin's probably just going to try and do something like this and then pop. Maybe, hopefully, sooner than when I've drawn this. But yeah, Bitcoin dominance has come up a little bit, so that's definitely, you know, a promising sign. And, you know, like I said, I don't think it would be a horrible thing if Bitcoin did kind of, you know, fall down to this level, and then, you know, it'll still be in good posture, ultimately, you know. I think that's really important. We shouldn't be discouraged by it, is my point. But I really feel that with, you know, the narrative in politics, which has been, you know, such a massive driver of these markets over the last months, over the last year, actually, it's been the only driver pretty much to an extent. You know, I mean, I'm kind of contradicting myself with my words, but you know, it's been like to varying degrees, but to much higher degrees than usual. I think that's, you know, the right way to put it. And I mean, why would that stop now? You know, with arguably the most important development so far. I think this is the most important development so far. I don't know. You guys tell me. You know, like Trump meeting Putin in Alaska, not in Dubai. You know what I mean? Like, not in some neutral country, in Alaska. Alaska, by the way, I don't know how many of you guys know this, but Alaska used to be owned by Russia. It was Russian land, and it was sold to the United States. I think like must have been in the 20th century. I don't know. But it used to be, you know, so it's kind of like historic. Like it's historic. It's really historic. And I don't know. It could be something else. It could be anything else. But I really think that that's been a big thing here, you know. And especially if that meeting could turn out with, you know, two big egos clashing, everybody hits the red button. Obviously not going to happen. But, you know, if we want to pretend we're 18 again, we can entertain those thoughts for, you know, a few minutes. But, you know, realistically, you know, it might turn into, I don't know, less sanctions or a ceasefire, anything good, you know? And, yeah, Trump and Putin, bro, like, they get each other, you know what I mean? For like $5 million, potentially. I don't know what that is adjusted for inflation, but that is incredible. That's really, really nice. Bear with, guys. So close to 100 likes. So close. XRP not moving. Dude, I wouldn't worry about if your specific coin isn't moving. First of all, Bitcoin is gaining dominance, so we're not really expecting any coins to move. But second of all, like a coin like XRP very much moves in its own time. Not always, but a lot of the time. And especially XRP's biggest moves, they kind of tend to come out of nowhere. That's just XRP's kind of behavior. You know, many crypto coins kind of have their own behavior. You know, they move in ways that are kind of specific to them to an extent. And if you're invested in one, you need to know what that looks like. You need to know what that specific coin's behavior is. And that's really like one of the main things that we do on this channel. By the way, if you're new to the channel, how many of you guys are new to the channel today? Let me know in the live chat. But if you're new to the channel, we're doing grounded, realistic analysis here, you know, and that requires, you know, certain things need to be understood. We need, you know, prerequisite lessons and so on. And that's a really big focus here, you know, because if you don't understand the building blocks that got us here, you're not going to be able to see what's going to happen in the future very well. So there's a lot of kind of background that we kind of weave in with these streams. That's why they're so great. That's why you want to switch notifications on. And yeah, XRP, you know, it kind of just moves in its own way. Thank you very much. It kind of just moves in its own way. So, you know, that's pretty cool. We've got Bitcoin kind of pushing right now again. And I got a question privately. How is the S&P 500 gonna affect Bitcoin on Monday when it opens? So first of all, let's just see how many hours away that is, because it's not far now. Yeah, 11 hours away. You know, I mean, we've taken a look at the after hours quotes, 64.27. And, you know, if that's anything to go by, which it can be, I'm not saying it's not. It's just not the most reliable. It might, like, close at those levels. But, hey, you need to take the dog out. Now. Yeah. 64.27, you know, so that is, I think, quite a big, you know, kind of jump. I mean, it's the previous all-time high, so that's useful. And if that's how we open a new week, again, like that week being so politically charged, I think that, you know, that's got to be a good thing. You know what I mean? That's got to be a good thing. So, shout out to 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗓. Smash the likes, gents. Thank you very, very much. Any XLM fans here? Maybe a few. What's my take on Sui? We'll take a look at that. What's up, Toronto? Sammy's in the top 10 of crypto YouTubers. Thanks, bro. Appreciate that. Very, very nice of you. Thank you very much. Yeah. That pop looks like it's coming right here. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think the S&P 500 open, it could really just cement the momentum, you know, like even if these after hour quotes were not, you know, super accurate, you do a lot of the time still see the S&P 500 opening at those levels. Obviously you got to check the after hours quotes right before, you know, it opens, because it can change in the next 11 hours. But assuming that you do that, because that's common sense, and by the way, common sense gets you quite far in these markets, believe it or not. Sammy has to be number one with this grounded no BS. I think so. I think there are a few, but they don't really cover the stuff that we cover. You know, a lot of the really good people that have no bullshit in their analysis and so on, they do macro. You know what I mean? There's the pop, $121,800. Smash up the likes for that, ladies and gents. So close to that 100 mark as well. There we go. 121,800. So we'll keep our eyes locked on that. I'm gonna. Oh no! It's failing. So this drawing's still in play. We'll see how that goes. But are we at 4 trillion total market cap? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I need to focus on like one question because I'm all over the place right now. Where's the yeah, 4 trillion. Very good. Very good. Yeah. Okay. Can we zoom in? Yeah. Oh, it doesn't show times. Oh no, it does. Yeah. Okay. I actually don't use CoinMarketCap anymore, man. It's so rare that I use it. But yeah. I think, yeah, there's a lot of YouTubers that do this, like, no, you know, BS approach. They're just not really, like, the same niche, I guess you could say. But as far as, like, this kind of analysis goes, yeah, it's very hard to come by. There's probably a few. There's got to be a few. But it's very hard to come by. Are shorts getting melted, adding to fuel? Do you know what? That is probably happening. That's probably what drove most of the initial move. I think there's probably some degree of FOMO and so on. It's all mixed together, you know what I mean? Like, because stops would be basically, like, anywhere above this yellow line at 120k, basically. 119.6. Stops would be kind of anywhere above these. So, I think, yeah, for sure, we could end up seeing, you know, a lot of liquidations. We can pull up Coinalyze right here and take a look at what this is saying here. We're on the Bybit chart, and then we want to go for CVD, and we've already got open interest. So we're seeing a big uptick here. We're on the hourly. Let's go on something a little bit smaller. Yeah, it's definitely shorts getting liquidated. Let's see when exactly that happened. We'll go on the 1 minute. Probably shouldn't, but it's okay. I don't know if my shortcuts are going to work here, but it seems... Yep, lovely. That did work. Can I make that thinner and dotted? No, that doesn't help. Dash this better. So, yeah, we're definitely... Like, that was a big uptick in CVD, which is the delta of long and shorts. So if this goes up, that means there's less shorts, more longs. Like, that means the change was in the direction of more longs, less shorts. And open interest tells us if positions closed or opened. So if open interest goes down, that means positions are closing. If open interest goes up, that means positions are opening. Pretty straightforward there. Let me know if that didn't make sense. I'll go over that again. But yeah, pretty clear. We got a nice big drop and a nice big spike in the direction of longs. So that is definitely shorts getting liquidated. Not surprising. What level did this happen at? This happened on the candle at what? At 2 a.m. flat. Okay, so it also happened at an hourly close, which is, you know, interesting. But we'll go ahead and move this chart a little bit more full screen and take a look at what... Yeah, that's the 2 a.m. candle. And let's just paint this candle because I'm going to have to zoom out on a larger time frame. So the candle spans... The candle, yeah, it was a brilliant candle, that one. That was a really, really good candle. We like those good candles, don't we? That's the size of the candle, and that all happened, yeah, right here in this range. Isn't that the same range I was talking about? I said right here. No way! I said right here. Look at that. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Come on, that's pretty cool. I eyeballed the liquidation level. To be fair, it's not that hard, but it's hard. You need time in the game. You need to be in the game for a little bit to be able to see this stuff so naturally. But I like that. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. You know, like when you do shit that's cool and you're like, I wish someone caught that on camera. See, I don't have that problem right now. That's pretty cool. Smash up the likes, ladies and gents. Thanks for tuning in. How are we doing today? Solana not moving at all. It's the same thing as XRP, bro. I mean, these coins are going to move somewhat in their own time, and we shouldn't get, you know, discouraged, you know, if it's moving slightly slower. Leo swipes. That was my suspicion. I'm seeing an Ethereum all-time high. I'm seeing this. I don't know what you're saying about the all-time high, bro. But I think you're saying the ETH all-time high is close and you want to see the reaction to it. Me too, bro. I would love to see that. But yeah, definitely liquidations coming in here. And then that, you know, triggered, you know, a lot of buying, most likely. You know, a lot of market impulse buys and stuff like that. Shout out to Jeff in the live chat. Thank you very much, bro. You know, I think that's going to be, you know, I think one of the big things that could help the market, that could have helped the market go up. It seems that we're still kind of experiencing, you know, quite a bit of that right now as well, which is fantastic. But we'll bring it on to the minute time frame here. We're just inching higher. This is the kind of price action that typically just pops to the upside. I don't know if it's going to happen right now, but probably during this stream. It could also drop down. I'd say that the likelihood is like probably, I'd say the stage is probably like 60-40, 66-33, something like that. When am I going to fire up the alternate YouTube channels to drop alt analysis videos again, bruv? Bro, good question. Good question. I'll look at the Binance chart in a bit. So there is another channel I've got I'm really excited for this other channel. It's not linked anywhere yet. It's going to be video essays. So what I'm really interested in is, like, beyond this, because I can't do this all the time. The markets don't move all the time. Now they do, but you know, usually they don't. So what I'm going to be doing is like video essays on kind of interesting topics that, you know, you guys will probably be interested in, and venturing a little bit further out. So an example is explaining how government debt works and why that's a big deal, how governments fund themselves, and basically like kind of explaining Elon's perspective. Not really, it's not about Elon, but he is on the right side of this, and I wanted to make a video about that, you know what I mean? But I want to make high production quality, so it's going to take a little bit of time. We're going to get there. But alt analysis, bro, honestly, I'll think about it, bro. We can do it on this channel, you know what I mean? You tell me. Like, you know, like I can definitely, it would be nice. It would be nice to make another channel. I can do that as well. We'll see. Shout out to Marine E. It is their first bull cycle. Don't know what to expect from Euphoria stage. Just expect that you're going to feel really smart, really cocky, really arrogant. You're going to make money at everything that you touch. You're going to start buying some shit. You're going to start planning. More importantly, you're going to start planning your purchases. You're going to start planning when your little, you know, 5K turns into 500 or whatever your ratios are going to look like. You're going to start planning the houses you're going to buy, the down payment. You're going to plan out, you know, you're going to plan out the debt that you're going to pay off. You're going to plan out how you're going to help your family. And then you might not take profit. And then you're probably not going to take profit because you'll be at the all-time highs and it'll be so staggering. And, you know, you'll be absolutely just smacked in the face by how much richer you are. But how much richer you need to be. You need to be that bit richer. And you won't get there. And the market will top, and it'll drop by like 50% in a week. And, you know, that already happened like 10 times in the last year. So, or in the last 3 months, whatever the time frame is. So you're just going to brush it off like it's nothing, but that drop is going to stick. And you might, you know, you might start revenge trading. You might get, you know, I mean, I'm just saying, like, this is kind of how it goes for a lot of people. Eventually you're going to, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to cut your losses. Maybe you're still in a gain. You're going to cut that gain. Maybe you really need the, you know what I mean? Like, it's different for different people. It's very different for different people. I'd say the number one predictor of how you're going to handle it is if you already have money. If you already have money, you got nothing to worry about, right? Because you're not reliant on this. But if you don't, because that's where I was when I was kind of, those mistakes make you learn. They absolutely do, sir. You're 100% right. They really do help. They really do make you learn. And then the idea is obviously you got to survive for another bull cycle, and then on the next one you'll make your money. You know, that's kind of how it goes. But we don't want to go there, ladies and gents. Like, that's not a place that we need to be. Let's be clear. Smash up the likes if you're just tuning in, ladies and gents. Took me 2 years of losing to now gain more than I ever lost. There you go, brother. There you go. That's what I'm fucking talking about, bro. Shout out to Anon in the live chat. What's going on, bro? Fully hit it, bro, on the money. That is exactly it. You're going to lose for a long time, most of you. And then you're going to, you know, if you stick around, which is a big if, you might stand to make incredible sums of money. It was the same journey for me. My first year was terrible. It was terrible, ladies and gents. It was so bad. My first year was so bad. You know, but I learned and I stuck to it. I got in the books. You know, I journaled my fucking trades. That was the most important part. I journaled my trades. Jan says, I'm going to TP in wave 3. I hope you can identify wave 3 properly and only reinvest 20-30% wave 4. That's really smart. If we go like that, that's really smart. But guys, don't do that to yourself. You don't have to do that. There's a ton of resources you can use to learn stuff about these markets. I've got 2 incredible books for you. If you're new to the markets, you're going to want to pick up this one. And if you've been in the markets for a little bit, even if you're new, you want to pick up this one too. These 2 books are the only books I put in the description, ladies and gents. I'm a reader. I love reading books. I've read a lot of books, especially like people my age. We don't read anymore. I've read a lot of books. These are the only 2 that have ever been in my description, and they changed my life. One more time. The books over here changed my life. Okay? Forget about, you know, buying them on Amazon or whatever you don't want to. The titles are over here. But these books are incredible. And they're cheap. You know what I mean? Like, everybody can pick them up. So definitely look at those. Obviously, like I said, we've got an incredible one-to-one coaching program with just incredible results, just absolutely incredible results, which we've already been running for some time. Everybody that's ever joined has paid off their investment super quick after joining within a couple of weeks. It's a 12-week program. Yeah, really, really cool stuff. If you want to get inside, then, you know, follow this link right here. A member of the team will give you a little bit of information about that. Any SHIB news, we'll take a look at that. We don't really cover news on this channel, though, like, other than really, really big stuff. Chasing narratives this last 12 months was such a trash mistake. It kind of only worked right after Trump got elected, and then after that, it kind of fell off a little bit. But I think that attitude could be troublesome later on, like, especially as alt season really starts coming in, especially as Bitcoin dominance starts dropping. Like, if you guys were watching this channel, you would have been protected from that, because we really knew that alts were not going, you know, the whole market cycle. We knew that everything was super, super temporary, but obviously, you know, if you're just finding the channel now, that's different, but at least you're here now. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm going to get it right, but I got a hell of a lot more right than, like, literally everybody else in the market, so that's nice. And it's because I was watching basic, you know, charts like Bitcoin dominance, and that kind of chasing narratives energy is going to get very, very useful if we do see a real alt season. Bitcoin is just inching higher, though. It's not really sending it. And if it does keep on kind of slowing down a little bit like this, that could become a problem. We're on the 1 minute time frame, mind you, so let's not overanalyze it. You know, it's still, you know, an incredible chart, but it could definitely be a bit of a problem. Watched twice today. You're doing great, brother. Thank you very much. How'd you guys find the video from earlier? The video from earlier was really, really good. It was one of the best videos I've ever made. I say this about every kind of deep dive I do, but I really believe that, you know, the deep dive videos are incredible. They're like if it were up to me, and it kind of is, I guess, to an extent, but it's not like that, but like these are my favorite kind of video. Like, I would only make videos like this. The reason I say if it were up to me is because I want to post more regularly than that, but, you know, like, I don't get opportunities like this every day. You know what I mean? Because the market moves slowly. I wish that wasn't the case. I'd give you a 40-minute video every day. I mean, I think that, you know, and I've made this point a few times, you know, like, if you're sitting across from me and we're having, you know, a hookah or a cigar or a coffee, and I'm explaining something to you, I wouldn't explain it to you, you know, with a lack of focus or care, you know, like, I would explain everything. And anybody who's watching live today who's met me in person, because a lot of you have, you'll know this. You know, like, I want to take we're talking about money, bro. We're talking about your money, my money. Like, yeah, I'm going to take a little bit of time on it. That's important. It's the most important thing, at least, you know, after the obvious ones. And certainly the most important thing in terms of how much time of our lives we put into it. We sleep for 8 hours and work for 8 hours every day. You know what I mean? So, yeah, bro, you're going to get a 40-minute video, and it's going to be sick. So check this one out if you haven't already. I would say, like, that video is going to be better than this live stream, because that video gives context to this live stream. Watch that one first and come back to this stream. Really. I really mean that. I really, like, even if that means, you know, we see a drop in viewership or whatever, I'm totally fine with that, because this video is a lot more important. Put it on in the background. Obviously, you need to see the charts. It's useful, but, you know, background viewing is obviously fine. Here's Bitcoin at 121,900 now. That is fantastic. I got some very, very late snacks here. Gotta get those gains in, boys. Been going gym every single day. Too many of you guys are calling me fat, and you're 100% right. Not many of you guys did, to be fair. But, me calling myself fat is enough. And, so we're trying to get that protein in. But, yeah, we'll keep watching this. Let's take a look at what would happen if Bitcoin keeps pushing. Now, if Bitcoin does keep pushing, let's deep for a second where we're at. We've effectively seen a conclusive breakout out of this parallel channel, which we did previously at the beginning of July. So that's a really good sign of what might come, because rockets loading. There we go, Chris Johnson. What's up? You know, that's already happened, and it resulted in an incredible move up. And we actually extrapolated what that target might look like. Let's do that again. So from the breakout point to the high, and then drag this line across where we started our rally from. And this gives us our first leg target of bang on $130,000. Right there, my bad. Right there. That is quite a good target. That is quite a good target to see for Bitcoin. Realistic? Yeah, I think so. And the reason I think it's realistic is because if we zoom in on what's happening here, you know, coming out of a continuation pattern, first of all, these extrapolated targets are usually pretty reliable. Bro, you're going in the naughty corner just because you're an ungrateful child. There you go. Yeah, so just because we're breaking out, that's going to carry a lot of steam with it. Bear in mind, and we've already seen this on the shorts chart, if you're getting a lot of shorts getting liquidated here, now you have people that are kind of ready to start piling in on the other side and going long. And we're getting a good reason to do it because we've broken out of, you know, by the way, we faked out to the downside. You know what I mean? So, like, coming out here now to the top is incredible. It's a really, really good sign. You know, it really means a lot for these markets. And yeah, we set that all-time high up here. So obviously, if we're going to breach it, we're probably going to run a little bit afterwards. I mean, after that. And more importantly, you know, there is this trend that Bitcoin had for a long time, you know, a little bit like this, where you set an all-time high here, and then your next one's slightly higher, but not impressive and not fun and not satisfying. But that doesn't really happen anymore. I mean, from that all-time high to... My bad. From that all-time high to this one, that was a 2.3% drop, 2.3% rise. But the next jump was 10%. You know what I mean? So if we bridge this next gap here, that's a 5% move. That's pretty reasonable. That's pretty reasonable, ladies and gents. And from this big pump over here up to that high, you're looking at a 16%, 15% move. You know, like, that's the kind of thing that really makes sense. We got a couple of people, you know, strongly agreeing with this. Sean, what's up, Sean? Quite tasty price target. Yes, sir, it is. Crypto Crackhead's loving it. Jan is loving it. Rene thinks epic dump on Tuesday. But you probably think that the Trump-Putin meeting is going to fall through as well. Fish says, very realistic. Big channel we're in since March. Top of that is around 130k mark. Oh, that's interesting. If you can send me a chart of that, I can take a look at that. What's up, Suze? 4 a.m. in Scotland. Well done for hanging in there, folks. Yeah. I mean, if you're watching this and it's an obtuse time zone for you, then good stuff. But yeah, no, absolutely. You know, I think that this is a super realistic kind of next level for Bitcoin, and it's probably going to suck its dominance up with it. You know, we could end up seeing that some of these, you know, highs end up getting breached. So that would be, you know, quite incredible, because it means that we get much better opportunities in the altcoin market. You know what I mean? Like, if you've had a chance to secure a couple of your gains right now, which I'm not saying you should or you shouldn't, because, you know, read the disclaimer, but 401k money coming in, yeah, that's interesting. So when is that happening? Does anyone know? Because I know that was a thing, but I don't know if that's like already actioned or not. We're closing in on 150 likes, ladies and gents. Let's smash them up. Let's smash them up, ladies and gents. Liquidation heat map has a large cluster up to 128k. Yeah, I can believe that. I can totally believe that, because obviously we're gonna have, you know, quite a bit. We'll go back on this chart. We're gonna have quite a bit of, you know, stop losses up here, you know, liquidation levels up here from people who kind of took shorts, and they're just, you know, holding on for their dear life, you know, hoping that Bitcoin does not break the previous all-time high at 123k. 𝗙𝐿𝐿𝗢𝗪 prefers bear markets. I understand that, bro. I kind of do as well, to an extent. What's up, Southeast Asia? How many viewers we got from Asia today? How many? Because I know we got Australia in the house today, which is sick. I love Australia, man. You guys are living different. You guys are living different, man. If every Brit could go to Australia, every real Brit, not the, you know what I mean? Not the ones that have no pride in being British, but if every, you know, proud Brit went to Australia, they would never ever turn back. Like, I went there and I felt like I got scammed. I was like, I'm you guys, but this is not my country, and it doesn't make sense. Drock and Roll says, D-Rock and Roll, or Drock and Roll, I think that's what you meant to write, says, it'll take a little bit of time for the 401k money to flow in, months at least for that to start. That's what I figured. Yeah, so this is going to be anticipation, and that's really important, by the way, ladies and gents. I want to grab your attention here for this for a second. Let me change up the lights, because I don't know why we have such, you know, like, this lighting is not working right now. Let's fix this up a little bit. All right. Hopefully that's going to make things a little bit better. How's this? How's this? This too, no, we're not going with that. How about this? This is a little bit better. This is a little bit better. Drock and Roll says that 401k money is going to take months to flow in, but we're moving up. By the way, Bitcoin's dumping right now. Tiny bit. This is not a dump, obviously. But, you know, I think what's really important about that along those lines is actually just the idea here that, you know, you're going to be getting a lot of speculation before that thing actually happens. And this is pretty much how all news events end up getting treated in practice. There's only 2 people awake in Scotland watching Sammy. That is sick. Yeah, love that. Love that. Dude, Scottish people, you guys are just living different, you know. Scotland is really, like, the crown jewel of England, of Britain, I mean. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. Probably really upset you guys now. You're gonna come play the bagpipes outside my house now or something. Yeah, I love Scotland. I don't know how this light is. I think this light works. You guys let me know. It's probably not it, but yeah, you're gonna see a lot of anticipation coming in for that bullish event, and actually that's going to be what drives a lot of the asset appreciation. It's literally going to be that. It's going to be that there's going to be so much speculation, and then the event itself will actually happen, and now you have no more hype. Now the thing is possible. So you might get, you know, a massive influx on day one, and that's certainly how it's going to feel. But almost regardless of if you do, you have a lot more reason to cause fear now in the market. Bear in mind that, you know, you also have people that, you know, are retail, like literally retail. So, you know, that never really works out. Obviously, I don't think you guys can go short in 401ks. I don't know how that works. But, you know, I think that that's a part of it. And so, yeah, I think that, you know, you end up getting a bigger rally before the thing actually happens, which is why I kept on saying this Trump-Putin thing, because it doesn't matter what happens on Friday. It's the 4 days before Friday that could be quite impressive, you know, and they've started already, you know, like ever since that Trump-Putin announcement happened. If anybody can tell me in the live chat, that'd be amazing. 150k is basically coded in. I completely agree. You know, if anyone could tell me when that Trump-Putin thing was announced, I would love that. Because I would want to put that on the chart, and we're probably going to see that, you know, more or less, maybe a little bit later, maybe a little bit before, but around that time is where this thing really started to lift off for Bitcoin. And then, like I said, we got 4 more days of that, and here's Bitcoin recovering that tiny dip right there as well. So that's fantastic. Really, really good stuff. King Rigger has an interesting take. He says that pretty much every red candle you see on this time frame right here is going to be free money. And that's right until it isn't. Also, while you're printing the red candle, you don't know how low it's going to go, all that stuff. You know what I mean? You could go with like a 0.2%. Yeah, 0.2% would have worked nearly every time. Yeah, it would have worked every time that it happened, at least. So, yeah, it could work, but that's kind of like, I would call that kind of gambling. That's, bro got that suave haircut. Bro, thanks. Appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know. It's going out. We're going to do something with this. We're going to do something with this. I was speaking to my barber in London. We're going to do something about that. To short in a 401k, you have to buy the short ETF. Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, look, I don't know how many people are going to be going short in the 401k, but hey, that's really cool, man. That's really cool that you can do that. I had no idea. South Realty, I dollar cost averaged my 175k size 401k back in 2023 into grayscale Bitcoin and then the ETFs, it's now over $1 million. Bro, 2 years. 2 years. My man put 175K in the market in his 401k. I've pinned that message for you, bro. That is sick. That is sick. 175K back in 2023. And it's now over $1 million. And that's tax-free for you, right? I mean, you can't touch it for, you know, depending on your age, years or decades, but it's tax-free. And it's obviously probably going to be a lot bigger than that. That is amazing, bro. That is amazing. Shouldn't you have done that? This is what I don't understand about 401ks, though. Shouldn't you have done that, like, in real life? Like, with real, you know what I mean? W's in the chat for those gains. Hell yeah. Smash the W's up in the live chat, ladies and gents, for South Realty. My man just hit $1 million in crypto. That is sick. That is sick. But tell me, why wouldn't you just do that with your real, like, with your normal money? You know, that you can touch. Why not do that? Or can you do that? Can you pull it out of your 401k and then you just got to pay taxes on it? Because in that case, obviously, everybody would do that. Sammy, can you give an estimated bear market bottom for the next bear? Yeah, smash up those W's, ladies and gents. That is sick. Tax deferred. But isn't it... Don't you have to pay tax? No, you don't pay taxes on it if you withdraw it after a certain age, right? I don't know. You can't buy ETFs in a 401k unless you're approved by your HR department. Of course, there's a ridiculous amount of red tape around normal citizens getting rich. Yeah, of course. It's got to be like that, right? Huge penalty. What's the huge penalty? Is it bigger than your normal tax rate? Because if not, who cares? Do you know what I mean? 20% early. Ooh. Ooh. But I tell you what, bro. If my man wanted that 800k, don't forget he put 175. We need to type this. You know, we need to type this in just to make sure we're maintaining perspective of these numbers. My man put 17k in, and he's now sitting on $1 million. Now, if that $1 million turns into 800, no one's crying over that. You know what I mean? And let's just say it doubles from here. 2 million. He pays that penalty, bro. He's down to 1.6 from 170k. He's down to 1.6. No one's complaining about that. 10% penalty, bro. That's nah. I'm sorry. That's still worth it. If you're in Bitcoin, that's still worth it. I mean, don't listen to me. I'm not your tax advisor. You know what I mean? I'm a 24-year-old. I didn't even finish high school, did I? Well, I did in the UK, but it's the equivalent in America. I didn't finish that. So don't listen to me, but... Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Anarchy says 800k turns into $1 million again in no time invested in safe assets. You're 100% right. You're 100%. It's as simple as, like, picking a good house in a good area of the country and then, you know, selling it after 3 years. There's always something popping off. You just got to be looking. You know what I mean? So, and it's obvious. It's like narrative based, bro. It's you know, like, it's political. You know, just go for a red state. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably gonna be smart, right? I mean, even a blue state. You probably even invest in a place like California. It's probably still, you know, like, in a couple of years, it'll be that million again. So that's really impressive, man. That is really impressive. Can invest in MicroStrategy stocks in the UK pensions taxed as income or ETNs from October, but I think they're for years. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, the UK is obviously a little bit... What are they bleeding, bro? Red states. Red states are bleeding. What are they bleeding? Let me know. Yeah, the UK's always got kind of similar stuff. A wise man once said the best way to stay rich is to never sell houses you buy. Sure, but that man probably didn't buy Bitcoin. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. I don't like these old tropes. The world isn't, you know, in the 1980s anymore. You know, like, the career you could have from the 80s to the, you know, 2020s is not the career that you can have moving forward. Probably in real estate, obviously, to some extent, it's still like that, obviously. Maybe to a large extent. In the UK, by the way, I don't know if this is like this in America, but in the UK, they're going to be rolling something out where you can actually, as a tenant, you can cease your tenancy contract at any time with 2 months notice. So, you know, if you sign for a year, I don't even know if signing for a year is still going to be a thing. It doesn't matter. You can exit after 2 years. I mean, after 2 months, if you change your mind at any point. Which, You know, my initial reaction to that, you know, like being somebody that came from, my mom was single raising me, you know, and she struggled like a lot. It was really bad. Like she got very sick, like extreme, like maximum sick, through that struggle, and thank God she survived. You know, my first reaction was, that's sick. That's really, really good. You know, did I say I'm 24? I did. Yeah, yeah. And so I was like, yeah, okay, if a tenant can leave any, you know, tenancy contract, you know, with 2 months notice, that's really good flexibility because, you know, what if something happens? But then, you know, I was talking to a friend about it and he said, actually, you know, what if you're a landlord and, you know, like someone can trash your house and then leave and, you know, like you have to pay for all the repairs. So, you know, it's just, you know, I was listening to Gavin Newsom many months ago and he was defending why he's such a fucking disgusting communist. And one of the big things he said, which totally made sense, was, you know, he literally said, it's about who you're for. That's what he said. Like, who are you for? Are you for the rich people or are you for the people? You know what I mean? And I was like, bro, can't argue that. Like, you're making a good point. Because that kind of thing really helps, you know, the average. But it's the long-term impacts that you don't get taught about. You know what I mean? Like, if you've now made it unappealing to build housing, provide housing, to be a landlord, which I'm not saying that that's happening here. It might not, I don't know. But if you're going to disincentivize people from essentially creating value that other people can benefit from, everything goes to shit. So, you know, it's short-term strategy versus long-term strategy. That's why, you know, Democrats, or in my country, Labour, or across the world, any left-leaning government is typically pretty fucking retarded. It's usually just because they'll give you something good in the 4-year or 5-year term that they're going to serve. They will. But the result will be the catastrophic death of the UK from, you know, Tony Blair, you know, from the early 2000s to 2025, where it's definitely cemented. My country died with Queen Elizabeth II back in 2022. It was done. It was done at that point. You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, it'll be good for a couple of years, and yeah, you'll get your votes for it, and yeah, you can push all the agendas you have. By the way, there we go. There's the pop right as I switch screen. 122k, ladies and gents. Let's see if it speeds up from here. See if we can get up to 122.1. We're just below 122. Smash up the likes for this Bitcoin chart, ladies and gents. We got to see this thing pump. Smash them up if you haven't done so already. It's closing on 200. Blair was a closet Tory, bro. They're just not. What is it? What is a Tory, bro? Is a Tory Thatcher? Is a Tory Liz Truss? Or is a Tory fucking pig shagging David Cameron? I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit vulgar in this live stream, ladies and gents. He did fuck a pig. It's real. Yeah, 122.1. Is it Boris Johnson? You know what I mean? Like, what is a Tory? Nobody fucking knows. A conservative is reform. That's what that's what conservatives are. There's 122, bro. There we go. 122k and $160. Is it a good idea to buy MicroStrategy? I think a lot of people would say that, because obviously it's like a peripheral asset to Bitcoin. And if you're bullish about Bitcoin, then that could be, you know, pretty good. Sucks the wealth out of the country. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And you're not allowed to say that part because, I don't know, they've stigmatized it or whatever. I honestly don't even know what it is. It's so ridiculous, whatever it is. Down with collectivism. It just all this, like, commie attitude, bro. Like, we were done with this shit. Like, this was gone. USSR is already fallen. Like, get off that fucking horse. It's so silly. It's so... The only model that's ever worked in human history is capitalism. The most successful country in human history is the United States of America. The United States of America is nothing but a set of philosophies. It's only a set of philosophies. It's not surprising that it worked. That's my point. That's my point. Great job, subscribed. Welcome, bro. Welcome. Realistic, grounded takes. It's about truth. It's not about which side you're on. Unless we're choosing between truth or lies, then it's only about which side you're on. It's not about which side you're on. It's about truth. And truth is actually pretty straightforward. We're looking at it. We're looking at it, ladies and gents. Bitcoin. Bitcoin is truth. I don't mean to get all crazy nerd on you, but it is. Capitalism with social programs. Sure, I agree because, you know, that's important, but, you know, it's also like, where do you draw the line? That's the problem. Like, I think charity could do a better job. Like, if there was, like, you know, like a lot of religions enforce this. I don't know about all of them, but I know Islam, for example, mandates a small tax. I don't know if it's like 2%, 7%, 10%, but it's not more than that. And, you know, hopefully that can, like, go to a charity instead of a government. You know what I mean? There were hundreds of economic systems before and hundreds after. In fact, we're probably seeing some of the transition right now. Who knows what's coming next? Will be hundreds later. Zakat. Yeah, it's zakat. You know what I mean? And if that goes to charities instead of government, that's sick. That's perfect. And audit the charities. I mean, put it this way. Let's be real for a sec. Since we're on the subject, I'll just go here. Since we're here. If it's a charity or a private company that has to do the charitable work, and they don't do the charitable work, let's say they embezzle the money, meaning steal the money. Let's say they, I don't know, like, it just goes missing some other way. $100 billion into the California Rail Project, or however many billions of pounds are going into HS2 in England. Yeah, instead of this incompetence, if they prove themselves to be untrustworthy or shit at their job, somebody else wants that contract, bro. Somebody else wants that contract. So you fire the bad person and you get the good one in. Or you fire the bad company or the bad charity and you get the good one in. But you can't fire your government. They have too much power. Like, you swing from Labour to Conservative or Democrat to Republican, and it's the same fucking thing every time. You won't get that out of government. You will only get it out of companies, and that's the only thing that's happened. If you look back throughout the last decade, government didn't change the world. The EU changed the world a little bit by regulation, but that was it. The only real players that changed the world over the last decades were people in tech, and obviously finance. It had to be said. It had to be said. Smash them up, ladies and gents, if you're just tuning in. Smash them up. Where are we at? 165. Welcome to the stream, ladies and gents. Thank you all for tuning in. In my country, we have a social market economy which combines free market capitalism with social policies ensuring free university education access and free healthcare for all. Yes, you're probably in a Nordic country, and those countries are amazing. They're beautiful. People are happy. But you are paying up the arse where it's going to be like 50%, you know what I mean? So it's not perfect. Everyone should read Satoshi's early writings and emails. Yeah, I haven't even read all of them. I would love to. I would love to. You're in Germany. Okay, yeah, Germany's fantastic. Yeah, and like free education in the EU is really something that they got right, you know, as far as universities. But at the same time, university is useless now. So, you know, it's both. It's both, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that clear. Unless you're going STEM, you know what I mean? But even then, like, university is really losing, like, in quite a bad way. It's really losing its place in the world. Thank you very much. This is fantastic. We're about to see Bitcoin hitting all-time highs. And I got salmon, like, canapes, basically. I don't know, they're not really, but it's something, you know what I mean? Just tiny little pieces, bit of watermelon. I mean, this is not the right time to be doing this, but that's okay. Yeah, so, anyway, let me talk about Bitcoin for a minute. I know that's why you guys are here. You guys don't... Who came here for my political opinions, fam? Let's talk about what happens if we pump up. We've already covered this 130k target. I think there are a couple other targets that are worth extrapolating. One of them is going to be, you know, the bigger macro move, which we'll probably see a little bit better on, let's say, the daily. Daily's probably going to be good for this. And if we go ahead and take this trend line right here and draw the size of this move and then try and extrapolate a target from there, this is going to be more of... So like, what we measured the first time, this is like... Essentially, like, there, you know, like in any trend, like if you zoom out enough, there's... We'll put it this way. Let's go on the weekly. Like, if we go on the weekly, the distinct move is now this, right? Like, that's the only distinct move we've had so far. From 72 up to where we are right now. right? And then, you know, like a different phase was here, right? A different phase was here. But then in between, if we zoom in a little bit, there's more like intraday stuff. So, you know, you could say that there was one move here and then another here, you know what I mean? So, like, you can keep zooming into infinity, and fun fact, I don't know if you find this fun like I do, but it's fun for me. If you take the same approach and measure the UK's coastline, the coastline has an infinite length because it's so jaggedy, right? And you got to like go in all the little crevices, and if you just keep on measuring them super precisely, it'll add up to infinity, which is super super cool. I don't know how, you know, probably nobody knew that. Maybe the Scots knew that, but I think that's actually really really cool. But, you know, so with that in mind, this is going to be our kind of, let's zoom in a little bit more onto the daily. This is going to be what our, you know, first leg here looks like. So, you know, if we try and extrapolate a target out of that, that basically looks like this, which is the same price target we've seen quite a few times on this channel at about 140k. So, you know, really, really interesting stuff there, and really quite, again, super realistic targets. Because right now we're getting tunnel vision, you know, you and I mean, I don't think I am. I'm giving you guys perspective here, but, you know, so far in this live stream, it was a very tunnel vision live stream. And many of you guys watching probably are as well. And we want to avoid that by reminding ourselves of where we are in this market. And again, that's what this really, really important video was about. This buckle up, Bitcoin's bull market is about to get violent. It's a deep dive video. I don't make deep dive videos on this channel often, but they're my favorite kind of content to make, because they're so valuable. And I really, really think that, you know, if you haven't watched that yet, it's going to be more important than this live stream. So you can put that on, you know, even with 2x speed, and then even, you know, come back to this live stream here. Dude, the earth is flat. That's why it adds up to infinity. Brilliant. But yeah, definitely check out this video if you haven't already, and pause the stream now to watch it if you haven't, because like I said, it is just that important. But, you know, putting that stuff into perspective, absolutely, you know, we've got, you know, quite an incredible, you know, potential next leg here that could be taking place for Bitcoin. So yeah, you know, I think targets up there are pretty realistic. Obviously, we covered the downside a little bit. Let me cover what happens, in my opinion, if we don't hold this level, these levels, plural. You know, if we come back for that CME gap, this is one of the first comments we got on the stream, then, you know, we're probably looking at, you know, I think we're just going to bounce off this level. But if we don't, in this bearish scenario, you know, obviously that means losing this level. I think we can come all the way back down into the support level again, and probably even get lower. That'll probably be a sign that we have to, you know, sweep this low. I thought we were going to sweep this low. I was not optimistic about 112, but I was wrong about that. I said we could go down to like 109, 107, but, you know, it's whatever. It didn't matter. I didn't trade it anyway, but yeah, it would probably indicate that we've got to come below this, and you know, that would be, I don't know. I can't say it would be bad, because I don't think anything's bad for Bitcoin right now, but, you know, it would set us back. It would set us back. So, you know, if that's a problem, you know, if that upsets you, which I understand, it can upset people. It shouldn't. You should be a little bit more, you know, resistant to your emotions in these markets. But, you know, I would understand if it did. Brilliant. CME might get filled in the next bear year. Yeah, and obviously there are CME gaps down at like 9k that still exist that people don't talk about anymore. And it's because people that bank on CME gaps getting hit all the time are people that don't think their statements through very far. Because, you know, if you really do think that CME gaps are important and you're smart about it, you would also immediately ask the question, well, have any gaps not been filled before? How many gaps? Where are they? How recent has that been happening? You know, like, these are the kind of questions you'd ask to validate that kind of theory. A lot of people don't. And it shows. It shows in their portfolio, most importantly. Somebody says it's we're not going to dump because of the news. I don't know what news you're talking about, if there's anything in particular. This is funny. This can't be real. I know that's not real. What's Litecoin doing? It's moving. It moves a little bit. It's cute. It's so sad, but this thing is going to be another Ripple, mate, if it pops. I'm not saying it's going to pop, but this is Ripple's chart, bro. This is Ripple's chart. This might be the single most impactful thing I say on the whole live truth. Smash up the likes for this, ladies and gents. Smash up the likes for this, ladies and gents, because this is big. This is very, very big. If we put this on the logarithmic scale and we start drawing lines from the same place, look at this. Look at where my y-axis lines up, or x, whatever. All right, we can start painting something a little bit like this. XRP broke out over here. That was right here. Nope, I pressed the wrong button. No, I didn't. XRP broke out right here on Litecoin's chart. So Litecoin still hasn't done it yet, but bull markets in crypto do typically have quite similar repeating price action. They don't have to, and it might not happen this time, but is that not the same fucking chart, though? You know what I mean? Like, what was this gain? 423% is a 5.2 times gain. Let's use a better tool to measure this. Let's go for... Can we measure it like this? This is the logarithmic, so... I mean, that's like the target I said we would hit. So what does that look like for Litecoin? Because if the same thing happens for Litecoin, something similar, that's 10x. But it doesn't, you know, like, to get impressive, it only has to get up to, like, its previous all-time high. That's a, you know, like, 3x, something like that, 3-point-something x. You know, like, I don't know if Bitcoin's going to do a 3x again. I think it could. I definitely think it's possible, but, like, it's a lot more believable for me to say that, you know, Litecoin will do it. Litecoin didn't really shine in the last bull market, bear in mind, you know? So, obviously there should be, you know, more patient holders this time around, because, bless them, they've had to stick around for so long. Up to this point. We're very close to 200 likes, ladies and gents. Smash them up if you haven't done so already. Double check that you are subscribed as well. We're live whenever the market's moving, as much as we can. Got a nice little 20x long on Litecoin from 99. Yeah, that's sick. Yeah, and that could be like a pension, you know what I mean? Like, that could turn into something amazing. It's just... The reason I think it's compelling is because we've got, you know... We've got another one here, which literally is, like, XRP was a very significant, you know, Dino coin, the Dino narrative of coins, basically that, you know, the coins are super old, and they're dinosaurs. I want to get a better chart. Because, you know, if you can see this chart for what it is, like, it's the same as XRP, you know, that's why I wanted to show you this. What I'm going to do is draw the same thing. What does that look like? Something a little bit like this, right? You know what I mean? Something like that. So, like, these are the same chart. You know? Like, these are the same chart. Somewhere in the world, some guy just broke even on XRP. Oh, man. Savage. You're a savage, bro. Obviously, yeah. Is that from 1999? Bro, this is just 2017. I can understand how I might feel that way. But I also can't understand how I might feel that way. But, you know, look, we've got all the same patterns. Like, this is the exact same chart. Litecoin, and this is huge. Like, this could turn into an incredible trading opportunity. And those of you that are interested in trading it, obviously you got, you know, beautiful exchanges linked in the description. You can check them out if you're interested. But, you know, this is essentially, you know, a straight hockey stick up leading into a massive 7-year pennant. And XRP did the same thing, and XRP already pumped out. Litecoin hasn't done that yet. It might not ever do it. But, you know, it's got the narrative. It's got the love. Like, I mean, it's kind of hated in that, like, it doesn't move. But it's loved in that it's a respectable coin, you know? It's the only respectable Bitcoin alternative, you know? Everybody loves Charlie Lee. I miss that guy, man. Wasn't he bald? His bald Asian head? I love that, man. We love a bald Asian man, don't we? You know what I mean? So Litecoin's sick. I love Litecoin. I still love Litecoin. I got a place in my heart for Litecoin. I would love to see it. And it's tiny, by the way. You know, like if we take a look at this in terms of market cap. Where is Litecoin? It's ranked number 19 and it's got $1 billion in volume. And its market cap is... Where's market cap? 10 billion. It's got a $10 billion market cap. So, you know, like... I mean, Solana is like 12 times bigger than that, isn't it? 10 times bigger than that. You know what I mean? Like, and that's Solana. Dogecoin, a meme, 3.5 times bigger. Litecoin is essentially a stable coin. Yeah, which is bad because the dollar's shit. But, you know, like, XRP up here at 200 billion. Like, Litecoin used to be number 3. It used to be Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. Go on Wayback Machine. You know, any site that indexes pages throughout history so you can see what they looked like in the past. Look at CoinMarketCap in, like, 2017 November. It was Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin for the whole market cycle. Can Litecoin reclaim some of its former, like, some of it during this bull cycle? I mean, yeah, it probably could. A little bit. A little bit. I think we just got to watch this level. I'm going to set an alert right here. I think we just got to watch this level. I'm not saying, you know, it's got to be a play, but it's something I'm going to watch. If there's money there, you know? Litecoin's incredible. I mean, it could do it again. It could. I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't bet against it. I'm not saying I would put money on it, but I wouldn't bet against it. Right, so we got a request to look at the Alt BTC pairs, specifically Ethereum and XRP. We've already looked at this a little bit, and I don't want to go too much into it because the main thing to look at is Bitcoin dominance. But Ethereum against Bitcoin is pulling back a little bit. It's been slowing down for a good number of hours now. I'm not worried. It would be amazing to see it come down to some support levels because that makes it really easy to buy. Like this level right here at 0.32 BTC per token. That would be incredible. But other than that, I don't want to read into it too much. XRP Bitcoin is in a better place because it's got its midpoint down here, which I think it's a little bit more conceivable for XRP to hit. Just because Ethereum's kind of leading the market right now. So, you know, if that is the case, then, you know, and it's not far for XRP to get down here. 5%, yeah, it was quite a bit more than that, you know, just hours ago. So, you know, I think that this could be an interesting kind of spot buy level, you know, for it to pop. Obviously, you know, you want to be buying down in this yellow box, but are we going to get that again? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. It doesn't really matter. But, you know, this is going to be a potential kind of buy zone in the middle. Bitcoin's taking a dump right now, 121.5. Bitcoin topped out at 122,160. It's now sitting at 121,500. And fluctuating quite a bit, so we'll keep it locked over here. What's my favorite Ethereum ecosystem coin? I don't know. I don't have one. USDT. I'm sorry, is that cheating? It's not cheating really, is it? It's USDT, because I don't love any coin. I don't date coins, bro. Don't like them. Bitcoin dominance is the only important chart to look at. Because it tells you all of these stories. And it's moving up. You know what I mean? It could go quite a bit higher. It's definitely cheating, yeah. That's okay, because I don't have love for altcoins. I'll let them make me money, you know what I mean? I won't get attached to them. I love people, bro. I love pets. I love animals. I don't love coins. That's a little bit gay. It's a little bit gay. A little bit. At least a little bit. Yeah, and I got over that craze a long time. I'd understand if this is your first, second market cycle, but I've been doing this over 8 years now. Would you say a fractal would work on Bitcoin dominance? I must love gains, though. Of course. Of course. I love what gains get me. Would you say a fractal would work on Bitcoin dominance? Yeah, of course. I think so. I think Bitcoin dominance is only fractals as far as, like, it basically repeats patterns that it's made in the past. You know what I mean? Like, this is the same thing. Let me show you here. Like, this is the same thing, just on a larger time frame. It happened faster the first time. You know what I mean? And then it, you know, has that big recovery back up. Right? Something a little bit like that. So Bitcoin dominance always does the same thing throughout its history. So yeah, I think that works. And that's why, like, this is really interesting, right? Because the last pullback that we had in absolute percentage terms was 7%. This one, 6.2. And they're the only two big Bitcoin dominance pullbacks throughout this entire market cycle. The only two big ones. Everything else was smaller. So, yeah, like, that could definitely happen again. It could definitely be the case that Bitcoin dominance is going to do what it did previously, but the big question is which one comes first. Do we have to continue going up, and then it's the big drop, or have we started the big drop now? And if you think that this is the case, my question is to you is, did you think that this was the case? This was when Trump got elected. It was right after his election in November 2024. We're now nearly, you know, a year ahead of that. It's like we're like 10 months away from that, or something similar. So it's super, super close. I mean, super, super far away. And back here, a lot of you guys thought that this was the start of a real alt season, and it wasn't. And right now, in terms of percentage, we're smaller than that. Like, this is a smaller move. In terms of relative percent, that was 11.3% down. This one's only 9.5. And these extra, like, 0.5% make a difference for Bitcoin dominance. They make a big difference. So, you know, is this going to be the big drop or is it not? I don't hold the answer to that. But for me, the answer is rooted in market cycles. Like, where are we in the market cycle? Are we early into this market cycle? Are we late into this market cycle? If we're early into this market cycle, then it's definitely not the start of alt season, like a real alt season, because the real alt season also marks the end of the bull market. And from a psychological perspective, we know that. Now, let me explain to you why I said that. Why does it mark the end of the bull market? The reason it marks the end of a bull market is because we've got a lot of aggressive speculation coming in when Bitcoin dominance drops down. When Bitcoin dominance drops down, people are selling their Bitcoin and buying altcoins. The only reason you would sell your safe cryptocurrency and buy the risky cryptocurrency is because you're greedy as fuck and you want to make some money. And you want to make a lot of money. And it's clear, like, this has been going on throughout Bitcoin's history. Right? We've got Bitcoin overlaid on this chart. What is the absolute top for Bitcoin? It comes literally a month after dominance bottoms out. So here's what happened back here, and I'll show this to you on another chart. We'll look at total 2 on this chart right here. And if we look at the same point in history, 1 week, this is getting very cluttered, but you're gonna understand what I mean in just a moment here. We go back to the previous rally for Bitcoin. What am I looking at? Oh, this is total 2. That's why I got confused. So that's going to be over here. And the bear market started when Bitcoin dominance bottomed. Or in other words, altcoins were raging. They were raging after Bitcoin topped. Yeah, this is Bitcoin's top right here on this line. And that's the biggest candle gain. The biggest candle gain for altcoins, 73% in 1 month, happened on the same month that Bitcoin bottomed out, at the same time that Bitcoin dominance crashed down. So the reason that we see Bitcoin dominance coming down, because people buy altcoins instead of Bitcoin, is because we are speculating to the most extreme degree. It is the most extreme representation of speculation in these markets. What does that mean? It means people are getting really greedy. People are getting really aggressive. Nobody is selling. Everybody wants that extra 10% pump to buy that extra thing. Somebody asked me earlier, what is it like in the euphoric stage of a bull market? It means that you're up massively and you're thinking about the future purchases you're going to make, and you're blind to reality, nothing can convince you that you're wrong because you made so much money. The money hasn't been locked in, but it's yours for now. And that's what happens at these stages. That's what happens when Bitcoin dominance comes down, altcoins go up. You're at the end of the market cycle. You're at the end of the market cycle. That's the most important part here. Because how does this relate to the current market? Now, if we bring it back to Bitcoin dominance's chart over here, and we take a look at where we are right now, if this is the big drop, take a look at this, right? The big drop happened over here. It triggered over here. Bitcoin's bear market started over here. I mean, you had how long? You had 300 days, which is admittedly a very long time. But it was basically the whole year of 2021, which we remember. Many of us were here for that. Smash up the likes, by the way, if you're finding this useful. Double check that you'll subscribe. Like I said, brilliant exchange right here. If you want to be able to trade these markets, you get exclusive chart updates from the team as well. And we've got our incredible one-to-one package right here. It is a 12-week program. Nobody has ever failed to pay off the results within a couple of weeks of joining. Super, super cool stuff. Check all that out if you're interested. The exchanges if you're not from a restricted region. You had a period of time, but that marked the end of the bull market. Because bear in mind, Bitcoin was trending up from here or here, depending on how you define it. Yeah, and there's different ways to define it. Yesterday I defined it like that, but realistically it's probably from here. It doesn't matter if I defined it like that. My point would have been the same yesterday. I just did that because it was easier. But this was the absolute low and this was the absolute high for Bitcoin, right? And so for most of that time, Bitcoin dominance is actually gaining strength, or at least kind of staying steady. But at the end, Bitcoin dominance drops really hard. Everybody's speculating on altcoins. Everybody's buying altcoins and dropping their Bitcoin. And that is what causes the end of the bull market. Because then eventually what happens? How does a bull market end? Maybe we're curious about that. The way a bull market ends is you get so much retail pushing it so aggressively to the upside. Nobody's selling. And we believe that it's going to go on forever. But because nobody's selling, eventually a seller is going to step in. And when the seller steps in, they're going to be a big seller. They're going to be a long-time holder, maybe a miner, maybe an institution, maybe a fund, maybe anything. And when they start dumping, the market is going to feel that. Because the reality is that at the late stages of the bull market, it doesn't take that much money to keep pumping the price up by another 2x, by another 4x, by another 8x, by another 10x. It doesn't take a lot to do it at the late stage of a bull market because nobody's selling. But as soon as they start selling, ladies and gents, the market feels it heavy. The market feels it heavy, ladies and gents. Look at XRP right here. This is 2017. We're on the weekly chart. We're going to replay this down to over here and put this on the 4-hour time frame so you can see this up close as if you were living it. The market takes it seriously. How do I remove this, man? Market takes it seriously. Look at this drop. From that all-time high that XRP set, which is also kind of like at the same price as right now, which is really funny. It saw a 73% drop. It lost 3/4 of its value. Please understand. $3.30 down to 90 cents. What is this? 88 cents. $3.30. I mean, you can't understand what that means unless you live in a country like Turkey, Venezuela, the countries that have had, hyperinflation. It won't make sense. You're still holding the same number of XRP, but now you get 25 cents on the dollar. You got fucked, bro. You got wrecked. You got wrecked, and it only took 9 days. I'm sorry, I got the time frame wrong. It took 13 days. My bad. And imagine living through this. You're down 30% in one day. It recovers. You have a glimmer of hope. And then the next day, you're down 33% again. It's nearly halved. 44% down. That's how a bear market hits. You know what I mean? And that happens because that dominance has been rising. People have been buying altcoins at the late stages of these bull markets. Nobody's selling. As soon as you start getting sellers in, you're done. You're done. Like, really quick. You're done really quick. So that's how market cycles end. Now we bring it back to your question about... Smash up the likes, by the way, if you're finding this useful. Love all the support, guys. Thank you all so much. Been watching the subscribers tick up as well. You guys are amazing. If you're new to the channel, smash them up. Definitely subscribe if you haven't done so already. And, you know, if we bring this back to Bitcoin dominance now and see what Bitcoin dominance is saying, you know, like, you are, whether you understand it or not, from a logical perspective, from a historic perspective, you are clearly saying that if Bitcoin dominance drops down and we trigger a big alt season, we get a big drop in Bitcoin dominance, you can't have that without also ending the bull market. So what was the first thing I said? It depends on market cycles. Where are we in the market cycle? Is this early or is this late stage market cycle? This is one of the big things that we discussed on this video here. If you haven't watched it, pause the video now and watch that video. It's 40 minutes long. It's a deep dive. This is about money. This is about money. You've got 40 minutes to spare. Do I even need to say that? Do you know what? If I need to say it to you, then don't fucking watch it. But if you're serious about your money, this is a big one. This is a big video, and we're covering this subject that I'm just describing now in a lot more detail. Are we late stage or are we early stage bull market? Well, if we're early stage, we can't have an alt season like that. Because an alt season like that invariably also means the end of the bull market. Because of how greedy the market gets and how unsustainable those rallies are. Understand, ladies and gents. Please understand this. When you get big enough drops, and when those drops come quick enough, like what we saw over here, it's not recoverable. Yeah, you've got, like, market participants have enough reason to be scared shitless out of this market. They've just lost 82% of their money in a month. Yeah, what if you were all in? What if you sold your asset? I mean, you know, look, these are dramatic examples, but a lot of people live them. Especially people who buy coins like XRP. Especially people who buy coins like Solana. Like, a lot of people have these stories. They're going to leave. You know, like, that frenzy, the last stage, the last month, bear in mind, it tops out, what, early January? It's rallying throughout December. Bitcoin tops out, like, here. This is where Bitcoin tops out. That's its all-time high at 20K. This is a lot of retail entering. Yes, there's not a lot of buying volume, but these people don't have a lot of money. They're buying up here. You know, like, they don't have long to secure their profits, and all they've heard for the last few months are how their friends got rich without them. They're not going to sell straight away. It's market psychology, ladies and gents. I understand if you haven't lived through it. I understand if you haven't paid attention to it the last time. But if you sit and think about it, you can reason your way through this. You can reason your way through how this works. You don't have to be somebody that has lived through this. I preach that a lot on this YouTube channel. Yeah, I don't care if you're new. This is your chance to make money. You can't fuck this up. It's a good bull market. We're in a good bull market. We're in a good bull market. You can't fuck this up. You've got to play your cards right. And if you're still making beginner level mistakes, if you're still making silly mistakes that you know you shouldn't be making, it's time to firm up, brother. It's time to firm up, brother. Yeah? If you're still making mistakes that you shouldn't be making, if you're stuck on the same issues, you know what I mean? No, not now. Pick up a damn book. Yeah? I put these books in the description. Get into our coaching program, our one-to-one program with 100% incredible results. Get in there. It's a serious investment, but if it sounds like it works for you, jump in. Get on LevX. See the exclusive chart updates we're sending in. Check out your country's local laws and regulations. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's where we really need to be focusing on. You know, like, forget the paid stuff. Just Google resources. You're resourceful. You know how, you know, speak to forget resources, actually. Just speak to ChatGPT. You don't even have to do anything too crazy. Just get on voice conversation mode with ChatGPT. If you're in North America, you can literally dial 1-800-CHAT-GPT. I'm serious. Try it out. Dial 1-800-CHAT-GPT. It's a voice conversation mode. It's pretty crazy. And ask it questions. Learn what you need to know. Ask it what you need to know to survive a bull market and a bear market. The principles are there. People just don't exercise them. You'll be different if you exercise them. That's the bottom line. Back to Bitcoin dominance. What does that mean? Like I said, you know, that's why I don't think that we're done with Bitcoin dominance. Like, this doesn't mean that, you know, we're going to be seeing a massive rip for Bitcoin dominance. I think it's possible, but it doesn't mean we'll see that. You know, we don't have to get above this high over here at 66%. We could also just do something like this for the next few months. That would be enough. What is the real estate cycle? I don't know, dude. I don't know. But that's my take on that. Smash up the likes if you found that useful. Subscribe, tick the bell to all the good stuff. That's it. Yep. Yeah, I'm not really sure about the real estate cycle, stuff like that. Probably going to wrap this stream up soon, ladies and gents. What else do we have to talk about here? We've covered some alts. I'm not going to go in depth on other alts, because it doesn't matter. They're not going to do anything different. If Bitcoin dominance is going up, Bitcoin dominance is going up. There are going to be a couple of exceptions, and exceptions never disprove the rule. If you guys have a couple last questions, drop them in. But otherwise, we will be heading off here shortly. Have I seen Fantastic Four? Yes, I have. It's been a while. It's been a while. Yeah, so Cardano's at resistance right now. If it can pop above this resistance, it's probably going to fly. Cardano against Bitcoin is probably a lot more important. And yeah, it's looking beautiful, mate. It's looking beautiful, mate. If it can get above this level, that's it. That's a 70% move to the next resistance. It's a made in America coin. Come on. It's got the narrative. America's at the front of the world again. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just putting the pieces together. You can agree with me, disagree with me. Very welcome to do either. Sammy Lawyer, one of my favorite channels to watch for the last 2 years. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate that. ETF-driven flows can keep dominance higher and make timing trades by Bitcoin dominance hard to execute. I don't really understand what point you're making. What do I think happens if Powell drops the interest rates? Then we probably go boom. That was covered in a lot more detail in this video, and I'm definitely not going to go into that because I'm just going to end up repeating that video, and I worked hard on that video. So go back and watch that one. It was only posted, yeah, recently. You think market up when US market opens? I don't know. It depends on where. I think to be honest, the way it usually works is the market will go up leading up to that open, and then if the S&P, if the markets actually agree with those after hours trading, then it'll pop a lot harder. Which I think is possible. I think we've got a decent probability of that happening. But I don't know, dude. I said the same thing last week and I was wrong. You know, so you gotta take that with a pinch of salt. But you know, I think that's something that could end up happening. And then yeah, if the S&P really runs when the market opens, then yeah, Bitcoin will probably do that as well. Going to watch it immediately, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna end the stream on that note. Smash up the likes one more time if you haven't done so already, ladies and gents. Really appreciate it all. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you for your generosity and sharing your knowledge and experience. You're very welcome, sir. Thank you so much for the very kind comment. That's very nice of you. Yeah, check out that video. If you still, you know, wherever you are in the world, if you want a little bit more. Even if you don't want more, this video is more important than the live stream. Go back and watch that. 38 minutes. You'll be grateful you did it. And I'll see you all in the next one, ladies and gents. Thank you all once again for tuning in. Cheers.